Interesting. I have my windows open at the moment, and they're like, I am talking about ethics. But I'm not sure if I can actually talk about ethics with the blinding light of like the windows. Daniel, never mind. I'll do it myself. One moment. Oh, that's so much better, right? Okay. There we are. That's so much better. So I have this magnificent wall of windows. And of course, I love the lawn French drapes. Red is my preferred color, but these ones are blue because I gave my partner my red ones. And it's like this Norma Desmond moment of just massive, like, it's totally theater curtains. It's hilarious. And I get that feeling every time I close my drapes or open them. I'm like, oh, yes, the theater drapes. It's a very nostalgic feeling for me. Yeah, that explains why I like curtains so much, because it's the theater. So, ethics. This is something that a lot of people don't know about. And this is something where I'm like, ooh, let's play around with this because this is where it gets really, really fun. So, here's how it goes. We really did not understand what ethics are. We thought ethics were guidelines, rules. And it's amazing because ethics are the core to all of this. Now, when you study philosophy, you actually don't study triadic healing. You do and you don't. It's like somebody ripped off the cover of the textbook and threw it away. And then someone took the introduction to philosophy and they threw it away. They probably burned it in the Library of Alexandria. And then they took the last few chapters of the book and they ripped that off and they threw it away and they hid the ISBN. So you don't know anything about this except for what they give you in philosophy, which is actually like the thesis is gone, the big picture is gone, the title of the book is gone, it's all gone. So, ethics. Ethics are actually the lessons. They are the lessons. When you study anything, you're not supposed to be studying numbers or mathematics. You're not supposed to be studying painting. You're not supposed to be studying, those are mediums. Those are mediums. A medium is how the eye decides or favors to learn or to understand. Now, there are different perspectives. All of the different subjects is a medium, but it's also a different perspective. So that when you study and work in a medium, you're not only working in that medium, but you're also learning a new perspective. But it's not the point. The point is the ethic, the takeaway from the lesson. The takeaway is the ethic. And it is the ethic that is actually the foundation. It's what you're going to build on. So when I say to you, self-comfort is the first ethic, well, I have to learn that. Now, we're going to go over this. It's actually self-definition. Self-definition. It is the solid state of knowing who you are at your point. It is love itself. That's it. You have to be so solid on you that you don't give a shit what anyone else thinks. So that when you say, I am a goddess, the goddess of story, and this is my crown, there is not a doubt in your heart that that is your story. That is the foundational ethic. Love, self-love is the first ethic. So that when you comfort, when you nurture, when you prioritize, this is all love. Self-love is the first ethic. The love for I. The next question is, what can I do? Now, if you take the word God out of the Bible and you replace it with the word I, read the Bible. It reads differently. God is love. I is love. So, self-love is I. It is the priority. And it is the value. And it is the definition. It is the knowing. And it is the belief of I. I'm going to say this once more. The first ethic is self-love. Love is the priority of I, the value of I, the definition of I, the knowing of I, the belief of I. It is the belonging. It is home. This is what you are supposed to be learning with the third ethic. I'm sorry, with the first ethic. You cannot go on to resources until you have this solid. Now, the question is, how do you get that? How indeed? Make believe, imagination. Imagination. That's why it starts with an I. Creativity. The muses. I'm just going to put here the muses. If you look at the muses, what music do you like? What painting do you like? This will unlock creativity and your imagination, and it solidifies who you are because it is story itself. It's just different mediums of story. Some children gravitate toward drawing. Some children gravitate toward dance. This is why the first 3 to 5 years of a child's life needs to be nothing but art. Nothing but art. Absolutely vital. Because at this point, they are supposed to be learning about I, the self. And then resources. Look what I can do. Now imagine the I is a person, a third person, okay? Look, this is my friend I. I love I. Look what I can do. That's the second perspective. I value I. I prioritize I. I trust I. Third perspective. I trust I. Now, I has limitations sometimes, but I trust I enough that I know that I will be okay because I is okay, which means it is okay to ask for help and to accept the humility and the humbling experience of my own limitations. And I trust I enough that I and I, can ask for help when I needs it. Those first 3 ethics are vital. That first triangle, I with self-love, self-resources, and then the I and you. Bringing those things together so that you can tap into your resources and celebrate self-love. You are literally balancing self-love with all of the resources of you and I. There are sharing is what you are supposed to be learning in the second age. You are supposed to be learning about transactions. You are supposed to be learning about sharing. You are supposed to be learning about the exchange of resources. That is what you are supposed to be doing. There are supposed to be 3 members, not 2. There is supposed to be you and I and neutral. You know what we call this? Justice. Justice. Wow, I've been looking for justice. Justice is in sharing transactions, resources. And then, once you have learned self-love and the transaction of resources, then you can step back and try them together. And that is when you learn the balance of I and you and trust. A child who is not brought up or raised with justice will not trust. Justice will teach trust. That is why children need to be taught sharing, because what you're really teaching them with sharing is the transaction of giving and resources. But we don't think of it that way. We don't understand children's play. We don't understand the play of children, and that's the problem. They're actually learning the first 5 ethics, vital to development. But adults who think they know better are interfering, and that's the problem. Shut up and fuck off. And this is going to be literally a project that I put together called Shut Up and Fuck Off. Because when somebody is in the process of restructuring their I, you need to leave them alone. Hi, I am in the process of building my I. Shut up and fuck off. Because in order for I to regain itself, it must separate itself from you. That's the problem. I must separate from you. So if you are working on your I, you're going to have to say, shut up and fuck off. That's going to be the first boundary for rehabilitation. Rehabilitation. And that's all this is a massive rehabilitation center. It's I's rehabilitation center. Shut up and fuck off gives you the space you need so that you, I, can separate from you, so that your I can separate from others. You need pure isolation to do this because you are rebuilding an I. But we have been taught to fear being alone. Yeah. Fear being alone. Isolation. Alone. AL1. All one. God, it's all right there. We just got to look at it. So you have fear of being alone, which is all one, and isolation, which is isolation. Fascinating. Solo is another beautiful word. Absolutely fascinating how it works over and over again. My God, I love it. Our entire culture has literally, and I know what they did. This is all the Council of Nicaea, by the way. They literally put subliminal messaging inside of our culture to literally make us anti-one because we're oneists. Anti-one. We are a culture of anti-one. And they made us prejudice. We have 3 genders inside of us. That is not okay for the oneist who is prejudice. So they took out the 3 genders inside of us and they began to make it so that we were only one. They eliminated the transgender and then they made us choose sides, quote unquote, with the masculine and the feminine. And this was the first prejudice that was born. We have 3 genders inside of us. We have positive, negative, and neutral. We have nurturer, provider, and justice. Nurturer, provider, and justice. Last night I was falling asleep, and what I saw was justice, law, and imagination. And I don't think that's right. I think it is supposed to be nurturer, provider, and justice. Nurturer, provider, and justice. And I believe we have all of these inside of us. I am nurturer and provider. Oh, my partner is nurturer justice. My other one is provider justice. I lack complete justice. I need both of them because I have no justice without it. But I'm nurturer provider. Fascinating. Fascinating. I was thinking binary again. It's tertiary. It's always tertiary. We have 3 parts, but we're oneists. So it's 3 and 1, 1 and 3. Absolutely fascinating. So in the first triad of triadic healing, you're going to need to learn first self-love. And then you're going to need to learn sharing, giving, and resources. Now, the problem is you have already learned not to trust people. And that is the problem. You have to unlearn. Triadic healing takes care of that also. Triadic healing takes care of that also. Once the rehabilitation is complete, the next stage is going to be integrating. So stage 1 is rehabilitation, which is what the healing garden is. It's actually the rehabilitation center. And then we're going to switch this over to an automated process where we reset the new culture. And that is when the cultivators integrate. That is the integration period, when the cultures integrated. And then it will just pass out and transition slowly back into what it is. It's a very gradual process. And it will go as fast or as quickly as we are all comfortable with it going. Not forced, not at all. So I'm going to be giving the option first of the rehabilitation. This is stage 1 of Operation Imagination. Stage 2 is going to be the cultivators with integration. And stage 4, I'm sorry, why did I jump to stage? Okay, so stage 2 is the cultivators. And then stage 3 is normalizing. And that's just making sure that everything runs smooth and proper, and that's where the ship of state comes in. And that's, again, just to make sure. That's basically to monitor this whole thing to make sure that it's running and it's moving smoothly. So stage 1 is the rehabilitation. That is triadic healing. And that'll be when we basically unlearn everything that society taught us and we rebuild it back into what it needs to be. And then stage 2 is the cultivators, when we integrate it into the culture. And then 3 will be the normalizing, ship of state. There you go. All right. And as I go through this, I can see how it's broken down in pieces. I'm not wanting to go anywhere again today. I'm wanting to be isolated. I definitely feel myself pulling back and just wanting to be isolated more and more. My partner has no I. Not at all. He did when we met, but he's lost it. I don't think he did even then. I think he had a supplement, a surrogate I. And then when I got close, I got to see that there actually was no I. But I could see who he is going to be, and I can see who he is deep inside, but he doesn't see it because he never learned the first ethic. If I can help everybody, then I can find the answer to helping him. I thought he was the I of this molecule, and it turns out I am. He is my you. He is my first you. So my molecule is broken right now. which is why I'm doing this. No, it's not. I was doing this long before I met him. I wanted to integrate and I wanted to balance myself, and I was not expecting two other parts to be involved with this. That's just it. That's the network. When you define and solidify and heal and rehabilitate the one, the I, your network immediately falls into place. He has to become an I in order to heal. We all do. We will not heal until we become an I. This is the pursuit of I. The pursuit of I. It goes back to triadic healing. You know, we say healing. And then I said, there's something more here. And I thought it was the third I. Wow. Wow. It's amazing the stories that were written to try and explain this. And I'm just looking back at it going, it looks like a 5-year-old wrote a book on the goddess of story, the third eye. And it's really cute. And it's like, it's literally like a 2-year-old wrote this book, and I'm 11. So I'm looking back at this 2-year-old's book, and I'm like, oh, it's so cute. The third eye. Yep, that's adorable. That is so cute. All right. So the pursuit of high, you have the healing, and then you have, well, let's call it the matrix stage. And you think there is a matrix, but so when you have the matrix, and then you realize, oh, it's not a matrix. These are dimensions. Yeah, that's it. Dimensions. Yeah. I want to know what's next. So this is it. You start healing and you think, oh, I'm just going to heal and get better. There's no end. Isn't that cute? And then there's the third eye when you come into the matrix and you're like, what the fuck is this shit? Just wait, it gets more. And then I entered into the dimensions, and you get into the dimensions between the 11th and up. So I'm going to put 11 plus right here. At the healing stage, that's 5 and 6. The third eye matrix is 6 to 10. There you are. 1 through 4 is the I am good enough. It is the false I. Wow. It is the false I. That's it. That's why I don't work with foundationals. It's because they have a false I. And then there is the healing, which is 5 and 6. And then there is the matrix, which is 6 and 10, 6 through 10. And then there's the dimensions, which is 8. When you go, oh, this whole thing was just dimensions. This whole thing was just studying dimensions. I've been dabbling in dimension thinking since stage 5. Oh, I'm not healing. And I did it. I was there. I was healing. And I'm like, yeah, I'm healing. This isn't healing. This is authenticity. That's what I called it. This is authenticity. And that is really, you start to think you're a God when you hit the 6th stage. You're like, oh my God, am I tapping into God's self? Is this the God self? Oh yeah, this is totally the God self. We are absolutely gods. It's amazing. Yeah, total, no doubt. It was funny because in the 7th perspective, I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm the God. And then 8th perspective, I'm like, I'm pretty sure they are the God. 9th perspective, I have no idea who is the God. 10th perspective, I don't think there's a God. I'm loving this. Oh, I love it. I'm going to write this down because 7th perspective, it was, I am God. Eighth perspective is you are God. Oh no, ninth perspective is there is no God. That was the atheism. There is no God. And then 10th perspective. 10th perspective, it was we all are gods. And then 11th perspective is I am God. I is the God. That's when it shifts. It's no longer I over there. It's I, the movable I. I moves around. The I moves around. You can borrow it, you can loan it, you can hold it, you can keep it, you can hoard it, you can touch it, you can keep it, you can give it away. I. The problem is there's going to be ethical consequences if you hoard the I. Right now, everyone needs a solid I. Unchanging. Yeah. The thing is, as long as you understand the theory of I, it's not a theory. If you understand it, it doesn't matter if you decide to hoard it or not. It's irrelevant. Because everyone is I, and everyone is you, and everyone is all at the same time, always. It's fascinating. Fascinating. I and you and all are always in all of us at the same time. I am always the I to me, but I am always the you to someone else. The problem is, everyone else needs to learn I, and our entire culture was designed to remove the I from our culture. Oh my God, I love this so much. So yeah, it started off with the false I am good enough. And then there's the healing stage. And then you realize, oh no, there's a matrix. And then it's, oh, these are dimensions. I'm a dimensional walker. Cool. We're dimensional walkers. I said I wanted to heal. Oh, I see that now. I am healing. The problem is when you heal, you come to a certain point where you stop, which is exactly what Rome put in place, called ego versus humility. And that stunts the healing. I overcame it. Because I could feel it blocking me. It drove me nuts. I'm like, there's something more out there. There's something more out there. I know it and I can feel it. I have a meeting at 1:00 and I am just not in the mood. I just want to shut the world down and just, it feels like the seventh perspective all over again. Where I just want to withdraw and just isolate. It's like, I just found me. I want to spend some time with me first. I want to meditate. I'm going to do a meditation. Now, maybe, I don't know, because I have this appointment. I'm not ready for it. I don't want to. I need to figure out what it is I do want, because I was back on that I of I. What does the I of I want? I love adventure. I want to savor. I want to enjoy. I want to love. I want to adventure, savor, enjoy, love. I want to give. I want to relax. I want to surrender. Oh, surrender. That's a different word. What does surrendering mean? Let's take a look. Surrender means to accept. Surrender is another word that was tainted. To give in. Cease resistance to an enemy. An enemy? Interesting. Enemy. What is an enemy? Or opponent? And submit to their authority. Oh, is that wrong? If they are taking by force, there is no authority. You cannot take authority. That's the lie. Authority cannot be taken. This is really important for everyone to learn. Authority can only ever be given. It doesn't exist any other way. And even then, so here's how it works. Let's assume for a minute that my authority is a bowl of grapes. I'm holding the bowl of grapes. I have the authority. Now, someone comes along and I can give them a grape. But it was my authority that decided that they are going to get a grape. Now, someone comes along and swipes the entire bowl out of my hands. And they say, no, you have no grapes. You are a fool if you think authority was actually in the grapes. You see, authority is not in the grapes. Authority is in my mind. It is my imagination. Who said I was holding a bowl of grapes? I was just holding up my hand. Authority is abstract. This is really important. Authority is an abstract concept. Newsflash. You cannot steal or take an abstract comment, an abstract concept away from anybody. Fire was a metaphor for authority. Prometheus never stole fire. You can't steal authority. Now, the thief who takes the grapes, who flaunts it, they actually don't have authority. They miss the point. What they have is a bowl of grapes. That is all they have, is a bowl of grapes. So they flaunt and they dance and they jump all over the place. I've got your grapes. I've got your grapes. Well, my dear grape thief, you have grossly missed the point of authority. You might have my metaphorical grapes, but you will never have my abstract authority, because only then can that be given as a gift. So instead, I'm going to show you by giving you forward giving. What is it you really want from me? You want authority? Do you want power? Do you want control? Very well. I will kneel before you and I will give you the control you seek. But I will remind you that my control that I am giving to you is still a gift, which means I still have the authority. Now, you might have power, but I still have the authority. The only way the robber can claim their authority is by realizing, internalizing, and claiming their own authorship. I. Thieving, stealing, raping, robbing, cheating, manipulation are all behaviors of you trying to be an I. They have no idea what an I looks like. They're guessing. So you does all of these things trying to be an I without understanding what it is an I actually looks like. The true I remains with their own authority. That is the 12 stages of ethics. It is the passing of the authority as you understand that I have it the whole time. It is a you discovering I. When we are born, we must have an I, but it is a process. It is a process. Now, I have somebody, he's a foundational, and he wants to manifest. He is on a journey of becoming an I, but he refuses to do any of the work. He manipulates, he's looking for the shortcut. I have given him very blatant advice, told him exactly where to start, and he will not leave the 12th lesson alone, which is manifestation. He is obsessed with manifestation. I said, you have not studied even the first 3 ethics. You have not studied self-love. Yes, I have, he says. If you had, then you would understand without being told. That's how you know you get it right, is when you understand without the teacher. When you truly integrate it. The stages of learning are this: parroting, understanding. That's integration. Mimic, parrot, understand. A mimic copies behavior. We see this in children. Parrot repeats information. Unfortunately, most people end at this stage. Every time you repeat your own religion, you're actually parroting somebody else's interpretation of a story. Every time you repeat another story, any story, every time you repeat a lesson being told, you are just parroting. You are not the original author. When you understand, when you integrate, then you become authoritative. You become authentic. You become the author. The words are not identical on accident. So the stages of learning are mimic, parenting, integration, understanding, and then authoritative. This is why I went through my shut up and fuck off stage from stage 7 and up. If you go back on my podcast, it's hilarious. At the 7th perspective, I finally learned how to say shut up and fuck off. And then for 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th, it was me going back and forth where I would dabble in the night, shut up and fuck off. And then I would stabilize. And then I would go back, shut up and fuck off. And I would stabilize again. At the 11th perspective, I understand why. Now this is it. Now I'm ready to hear people's opinions. Because now, finally, at 11th stage, I can hear people's perspectives and it doesn't touch mine. My perspective is solid. I know who I am. I'm the goddess of story. So now we have the birth of confidence. Now, boom, I can set boundaries. Now, at the 8th perspective, you learn how to set boundaries. You learn the words for it. By the 9th and the 10th, you toggle. At the 11th, boundary setting is solid, which means by the time we are 11 years old, we should be setting boundaries. Hey, the fuck off of my perspective. This is my dimension. Think of this when you're a child and you're building this really awesome Lego world / trains with My Little Ponies / Lincoln Logs. And you got this creation. And then your little sister comes along and starts growing her shit into your territory. And you say, hey, shut up and fuck off. This is my dimension. Voice of experience. Those were not my words exactly when I was 4, but you get the gist. This is it. Is that the right word? Gist? That doesn't feel like the right word. What does that word mean? You get the gist. How do you even spell it? It's a G. Just a minute. Gist. What is gist? What does that even mean? What does gist mean? What does to get the gist? When we say we don't want to get the gist of something, we're talking about it in essence or main point. We get the gist of his argument. Okay, so no. I want to know what the word gist means. Gist. Etymology. Fascinating. Oh, interesting. Okay, so jacere is Latin. Jacere, Latin, jacere, well, that's a Jacere. Old French is jacir, to lie. So this action lies. C'est action gist. Gist, it's French. This action lies. I'm assuming it means to lay, not tell a lie. So gist means to lay. Fascinating. Fascinating. So you get the gist. You get the gist. You get the laying of the point. There it is. All right, that makes sense now. So yeah, there it is. There it is. There's my, and you can say there, excuse my French, because that is French. So there it is. You lay it all down. You have your territory. You have your dimension. This is my dimension. And then your little sister comes over and grows her stuff into, so suddenly you've got her dimension into your dimension. What are you doing? This is my dimension. What are you doing? It's exactly like the Lego movie. It is exactly like the Lego movie. So yeah. Now I'm territorial. I'm territorial because I don't know how to lay my boundaries with my dimension. That's what it is. You're laying your boundaries with your dimension, but you also want to respect the dimensions of other people because, hey, people, those are dimensions we're talking about. People live inside of those. People live inside of a dimension. Oh, this is totally going to be a Rick and Morty episode. I can see it all now. What's going on, Rick? Somebody's invading somebody else's perspective. It happens all the time. And I could see like things shuddering and tearing down, and they're in the middle of it going, ah! And they're like, we just got to get to the other dimension. And when they get there, there are these two little kids, and one of them is kicking the brother's toys across the room. Well, mommy said, and he's like, you ruined my gut. I can see this. And this is what happens when oneists play without supervision. I could see this. Like I said, it's all dimensional. This is just one big Rick and Morty episode we're in, guys. Because that's what I would do. Because I'm 5. All right. I want life to be a Rick and Morty episode. That's what I want. When I grow up, I want to live a Rick and Morty episode. And this is it. It explains everything. Really, it explains everything. All right. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what I want. It's the resistance of alone. We do that a lot. We resist isolation. It is the resistance of one. And I can feel that. It's the fear of being alone. Why are we afraid of one? And we're afraid of being alone. We're afraid of being isolated. And I believe it's because we are part of a network. But it's the network that is actually the solution to the isolation. And that's it. That's it right there. The network is literally the solution to loneliness. But you got to plug into the network. And in order to do that, you need to find the other 2 parts of your molecule. Because we are sentient molecules. Because that's what I would do. Because I'm 5. All right. I need to walk away from this, contemplate life, and then I think I'll be done YouTubing for the rest of the day because I got to process all this shit. I really love the idea of the boundaries. That's it, really. Like my new process of boundaries. That is something I'm really, really looking forward to, is exploring boundaries because I can feel it. Like, yes, I value, this is what it is. I value and prioritize my perspective. Oh, holy shit, do I? Because suddenly it's like, this is my dimension. Back the fuck off. This is my dimension. Do you have any idea what a dimension does? The damage, the horrific nightmare in hell. Like a dimension is everything. Oh my God, don't fuck with my dimensions. Wow. Suddenly my value and my prioritization of dimensions is through the roof. My God, is it through the roof? I'm suddenly very, very gentle and precious in handling of my dimension. Not really. The dimension's allowed to go free and do whatever it is, but I'm standing on the outside, it's going, back the fuck off, shut up and back off. I just shut up and back off. Yeah, that's it. Shut up and fuck off. Don't touch my dimension. This is a dimension we're talking about here. Imagination, perspective, and dimension. That is exactly what it is. Imagination leads to perspectives, leads to dimensions. So it was Rome who said, tell the children to shut up and be quiet, because they knew that if the children were allowed to continue to imagine, it would lead to perspective, which would lead to dimension. You want to make sure that doesn't happen? Tell the children to shut up. Wow. On purpose, they destroyed imagination. It took 2,000 years for us to finally get this miserable, but if you love shit like this, like, subscribe, follow, comment below. Let me know what part of the show resonated with you. And I'm looking for my network. If you think that's you, take a look at Authenticity City below. Browse all the shit I have going on. What feels good, what feels right, what would give you joy. That's where you go. Thank you so much. And may the kindest of words always find you.